Evening. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to speak to you all. It's been really interesting listening to the other speakers so far. I can definitely identify with what's already been said, especially the prison yard to playground analogy, because whilst Kath's quite rightly pointed out, we're lucky enough to have some fantastic grounds where we are. The space that we actually had for playtime wasn't as vast. So first and foremost, it's going to be near impossible to convey in the time I have how radically OPAL has transformed our children's playtimes. The impact this scheme's had is unquantifiable just because of how massively successful it has been and continues to be. So when thinking about how helpful I could maybe be to others that are thinking about starting or just getting started on their OPAL journey, two catch-all statements that I actually used to bemoan as they were given to me as a younger teacher, but that I now hear ringing in my ears when facing challenges, really typify what you're going to do and what we've done here at Hull Collegiate. The first of those sayings being make it work. When embarking upon our OPAL journey, my first question was simply how. We saw all these amazing spaces that existing OPAL schools had created, and we've been lucky enough to see some of those this evening. And we looked at our space, and initially it was quite daunting. But with positivity, ambition and support of OPAL, you'll have the tools and answers to make it work. The second saying being, make a big deal of it. We had quite a small playground, like I said, for our Key Stage 2 children, pre-OPAL. And by getting everybody on board, staff, parents and children, and embracing all of the previously unused and space that had been deemed inappropriate that was around our playground, we now have a much more comprehensive play offer, and we make a big deal out of everything we can, whether it's introducing new equipment or new areas that they're allowed to play in. So I've been asked today to speak about climate and OPAL through the seasons. So let me address one of the loudest questions we had at the beginning of our journey, and one you can almost certainly expect to hear through yours. What if it rains? Of the hurdles we experienced, some attitudes of children, parents and even staff to adverse weather were perhaps one of the biggest hurdles that we had to leap over. But it was, I call it a hurdle because it was there to be leapt over. So firstly on this point, it's less what if it rains and more when it rains we shall, because we can't get away from the rain. There's no secret to the answer either. We simply go out. Are we staying in? Doesn't come into it. Being based where we are in Hull, there are lots of, shall we call them, opportunities for wet play. And since starting OPAL, an indoor playtime is a rarity. So what have we changed? Well, lots of things maybe is the short answer. But other than the spaces and the equipment that's available, the biggest thing that we did is introduce waterproofs and wellies as part of the school uniform requirement on par with PE kits. Bar the dry summer days, the children wear those every break time, and those fears that children have about getting dirty or muddy are solved. They all go away. The impact that this has had on the children is incredible. And whilst you'd be right to think that children love break times anyway, and how can you tell? Well, I can identify with what everybody else has said before me. We no longer have the children that try and hide indoors and ask if they can do a job at lunchtime. Coming back in, the only word I can think of is unbridled joy that the children have when they come back in. It might sound a bit cheesy, but it's exactly how they are. They're genuinely excited when they've created things like the dens and the mud meals that they want to tell everybody about. Things like the friendship issues and incidents and all the other typical quarrels you could expect at a break time are down, because the ethos of the play setting is about teamwork and sharing. And I'm sure it's been sort of said and alluded to already, but with OPAL, there can be activities that inspire all imaginations of all ages. Thank you very much.